In this video, we'll talk about human respiration. As you all know, respiration is a process where there is an exchange of gases, specifically oxygen and carbon dioxide between the atmosphere and the body. And whatever the organ involved in this process is known as respiratory system. If we talk about human respiratory system, it begins with the nostrils. Nostrils is the opening of the nose, and nostrils leads to nasal passage, which is a cavity inside the nose. Nasal passage has fine hair and mucus, which helps in the filtration of the air, which enters the nasal passage through the nostrils from the atmosphere. Later, air from the nasal passage enters through the throat, and finally it enters the lung. The throat part, specifically the trachea part, as you can see, this long tube is a trachea which moves down from the neck into the lung, and this trachea is provided with the incomplete cartilaginous ring which gives stability to the trachea, or it helps in avoiding of the collapse of the trachea. Later, this trachea in the lung divides into smaller and smaller tube known as bronchi and bronchioles, and finally it gives rise to balloon-like structure known as alveoli, and it is this alveoli where there is an exchange of gases takes place, whereas the other part is a conducting part where only air conduct into the lung and exchange actually takes place in the alveoli. As I already told, alveoli is a bag-like or the balloon-like structure which is provided with the numerous blood vessels where the exchange of gases takes place. Now we'll see how air enters into the body and how exactly exchange of gases takes place in the alveoli. As you have studied in the lower classes, while breathing in or during inhalation, our chest move upward and dome-shaped diaphragm become flattened. So because of the upward movement of the chest or the ribs and flattening of the diaphragm, there will be increase in the cavity of the chest. So there will be increase in the volume of the chest cavity, because of which there will be decrease in the pressure of the chest cavity when compared to atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure is a pressure created by the air in the atmosphere. So as a result, air from the high pressure region enters into the low pressure region, that is from the atmosphere into the lungs. So when the air enters the lung, it will fill each and every alveoli. So we have millions of alveoli, and this alveoli is filled with the air. Now simultaneously or meanwhile, the blood from each and every cells carry carbon dioxide. So each and every cells carbon dioxide is produced as a metabolic waste which will be carried by the blood into the alveoli for the exchange of gases. So now the alveoli has air which is rich in oxygen, and the blood consisting of carbon dioxide which is rich in carbon dioxide and very low concentration of oxygen in the blood. So because of this variation in the concentration, there will be exchange of gases by simple diffusion. So oxygen which is rich in alveoli moves into the blood from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. Similarly, the carbon dioxide from the blood, that is region of high concentration, to a region of low concentration, that is into the alveoli. So oxygen from the alveoli enters into the blood, and carbon dioxide from the blood enters into the alveoli. Later, this carbon dioxide is thrown out of the body by the process of exhalation, and this oxygen from the blood, it will be carried to each and every part of the body. Apart from the diffusion pressure, we have developed one more mechanism to carry the oxygen, that is respiratory pigment known as hemoglobin. So we have respiratory pigment known as hemoglobin in the RBC of the blood, which has high affinity for the oxygen. So because of that, all oxygen will be taken up by the hemoglobin, and it carries that oxygens to each and every cells of the body more efficiently. So if we talk about carbon dioxide, this carbon dioxide will be dissolved in the blood more efficiently when compared to oxygen. That's why the carbon dioxide from each and every cells of the body is carried into the alveoli in the dissolved form in the blood. So that is how exactly exchange of gases takes place in the alveoli. Thank you.